To make our gingerbread house foreground and middle ground background, I'm going to need an old paper bag from the grocery store. This is just an old shopping bag from the grocery store, and that's going to actually become the paper for my project. I'm also going to definitely need a pair of scissors. I'm going to need a pencil or a marker. I'm going to need some crayons, or better yet, if you have them, some oil pastels. If you don't have any oil pastels at home, that's perfectly fine. Your regular coloring crayons are going to work just fine for this. To start my paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along the side edges of my bag. So I'm just going to trim right along the edge of my plastic bag on one side, cutting as close to the corner of the bag as I can, but making sure that I actually cut the fold. Once I've done it on one side, I'm going to flip my bag over because it's easier for me to cut being right-handed on this side. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to cut all along the one edge of my bag so that I'm cutting right at the fold. Now, the straighter I cut, the straighter my final paper will be. But if I've got a mistake in there and it's not perfect, it's not going to be the end of the world, and that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and do my very best, right? Once I have my two sides cut, then I'm going to trim the top edge of my bag. My bag at the top edge is just a little bit rough and bumpy, so I would like to trim that so that it's nice and flat. If you've got a really big paper bag like me and you want to work with a smaller project, you could trim any of the top of the bag that's all crumpled and folded. If you don't like that part, go ahead and trim that away. It really doesn't bother me, so I'm going to leave that. And then I'm going to trim off the bottom of my paper bag, just like I trimmed off the top. Now, when I'm all done trimming my bag, I'm actually going to have several papers here that I could use. So if you've got brothers and sisters at home doing the project too, you can see I have one big paper. I have two little papers that I could set aside. I might use those later to make gingerbread man. And I have a second big paper. So I just need one of these. So if I have a younger sibling at home or an older sibling at home who's doing this project with me, one bag will get you two big pieces of brown paper. Now that I have my big brown paper, I want to fold it into thirds. So I'm going to take one side over, what I think is roughly 1/3 of the paper. So when I bring that one over, this side and this side should be the same, and I'm going to fold the crease. Then I'm going to bring the other side over and fold the crease. And if they don't line up perfect right here, take a peek. Mine doesn't either. That's not going to hurt anything. All we're looking for is to have a tri-fold paper. So I have the front here. This is going to become the foreground. I have the inside here. This has become the middle ground. And I have the back here. This is going to become the background. Now that I have foreground, middle ground, and background, I have my paper and I'm ready to start drawing on my foreground.